Good morning and thanks for tuning in. I'm Holly Shields for Kalkine TV, welcoming you all to another edition of Executive Corner Expert Talks. Now, we know that managing finances is perhaps the most crucial challenge for any business, and sometimes a company's success hinges on getting the best advice from the right accountant. So thankfully today, we're lucky enough to be joined by one of the best in the business. Nasir Shaikh is the Director of Hoffman Cohen, a UK-based award-winning accountancy firm. Welcome to the show, Nasir. It's a pleasure to have you on with us.
Delighted to be here. Happy to help too.
It's great to have you on. So to kick things off, why in this day and age do businesses need an extended finance arm to excel against the competition?
Well, in a situation or in question to answer the question like this, I generally give an example of a football or a cricket coach. I'm a big fan of cricket myself. What I tell the businesses is that as a leader of your own company or your own business, it is important for you to work on the business while allow the experts like accountants and the lawyers to handle the extended finance arm of your business. So what I generally see is small businesses tend to want to do everything themselves, wearing numerous different hats. And if they have an extended finance arm and letting their expert accountants handle the financial side of their business, it allows them to be the leader of their business and focus precisely on running their business, whatever they're good at. That's why I believe that having an accountant is extremely vital.
Right, especially for those smaller and medium enterprises, would you say so?
Absolutely. It's generally targeted to small or medium companies because generally bigger companies have got their own finance arm anyway. So, yeah.
Definitely. Now, in your opinion, what do the governments, banks and industry leaders need to do to help those small Aussie businesses or other small businesses in other countries, especially those hardest hit by the pandemic, sustain and grow as we're hit with another wave of COVID?
Well, what I've seen, and I really appreciated the UK government doing that, is we had something in the UK in a month of August 2020 during the peak COVID time. It was something called Eat Out to Help Out scheme. So what the government did is that they allowed the restaurants or the retailers to give a 50% discount to their customers. So let's say if a restaurant customer walks in and have a bill of £20, the customer would only pay £10, while the UK government will pay the remaining £10. So what that allowed is that the public who was really scared to go out or spend money started going out like crazy and started spending money in the restaurants. I mean, numerous of our clients told us that in those months, and the days that the government picked were the least busier days, which was Monday, I think Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And our clients were extremely busy. The amount of revenue that they generated in that month was enormous. So that's what I suggest to the Aussie government or the Canadian or the UK government or anywhere else in the world is to provide a supporting hand to the restaurants by providing some sort of incentives to the public for them to come and eat in the restaurant, because that's generally the businesses which are the hardest hit during this pandemic.
Right, that's certainly fascinating. And I can imagine there's obviously maybe a conscious consumerism aspect as well. The customers are intentionally choosing to go out and patronize these businesses when they know that the government is giving them these incentives.
Absolutely, that's what they did. There were queues, and because they were paying literally half the money, everybody was overly keen to just come to the restaurant, and the boost that the restaurants got were enormous.
I can imagine that would be really great to see here as well. Hopefully we could get something similar, if not exactly the same. Now, what would you say are
Absolutely.
the major taxation and accountancy related challenges that most companies today face?
Well, what I see is, as again, I'm targeting small to medium sized enterprises, and what I see generally is that the organization is the key in any of those businesses. An example is that sales tax. I'm not sure if that's what you call it in Australia, but we call it VAT in the UK. And what happens is a business collects the sales tax on a day-to-day running business and have to pay it to revenue and customs or the tax authorities in Australia after 3 months. When they're not organized, they tend to, for some reason, spend that tax that they have collected from their clients or from their customers. And when the time comes to pay the taxes or the VATs or the sales tax, they generally do not have that cash flow to pay those taxes on time, resulting in them having to pay the penalties and interest on top. And they're always concerned or running around to sort this VAT payments out. Sometimes they have to take loans, which obviously incur further interest, which are quite expensive. So I do always suggest my clients that organization is extremely vital. So when you receive, like I do it for my own business too, that I review my finances on a daily basis, and when I see the VAT coming in, I transfer it to my saving account. So that way, that money is untouchable. I don't see it. But at the same time, when the time to come to pay that VAT, it doesn't hurt because I never saw that money. It's just sitting in my saving account. I just transfer it and pay. So that's the key, in my opinion. That's the generally avenue where small businesses struggles with.
Right, I can imagine that's the case. But are there any maybe small changes that they could make to become more organized, do you think?
Yes, I mean, in today's world, we have everything online. So the biggest avenue here is they do not know what tax they have to pay. Accountants' fees could be very expensive. The accountant is available on day-to-day basis. So they generally, small businesses cannot afford that. For that reason, I suggest those businesses to develop a small or use the softwares that are available in the industry to try and be a bit more, which is quite simple. If you spend 10 minutes a day, it's a lot easier to do it than you spending 3 hours at the end of the month, which is very, very difficult. You cannot really afford to spend 3 hours. So in order for them to overcome that, they have to try and use the software that allows them to know the tax that needs to be payable on a particular date. May not be payable today, but has been collected today or would be payable in a future date, for them to be prepared.
Right, so it sounds like it's all a matter of getting that software together and entering the information as it happens, keeping that data updated so they're not met with this massive information that they can't keep track of at the end of the month.
Absolutely, and it's not time consuming. As I've said, if you spend 10 minutes a day, generally a small business will be handled day-to-day tasks for 10 minutes a day, and will save a lot of money in accountancy fees as well.
Right, I can imagine that's the case. Now, as well as that, we'd love to hear some of the key advice you've been giving your clients to optimize their finances amid the pandemic.
Well, what I have noticed is, I mean, that's the same thing I've noticed during the recession in the UK in 2007 onwards. And what I've noticed is, just because of pandemic, every business have stopped spending. They've stopped spending, they've stopped hiring employees, they've stopped the budget on marketing, and they've stopped, they've stopped paying even taxes, which obviously, as I've said, incur penalties and interest. The crucial thing here is that, other than retail, I don't see many businesses have struggled. Actually, we have seen that the cost has been cut by not having to pay the enormous amount in rents and the office expenses. So what I suggested my client, that this is not the time to cut on, especially your employment and your marketing budget, because these are the two avenues which allow you to grow the business. Secondly is that the clients have stopped spending time with their own clients because they have cut the budget of employment. They don't have enough resources. So my advice to most of our clients, unless they are in the retail, which is the hardest hit, my advice to most of our clients is that do not stop the budget of marketing and your employment. Keep going. This is a time when you have some free time and you can just grow your business instead of just shutting down everything and then having to catch up, which technically we're all doing right now.
Definitely, it's really not ideal for these businesses to come to a standstill as well, and it's obviously not great for the economy as a roll-on effect, I imagine.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what the businesses have done. They have just stopped doing anything. They've just closed the doors and ignored their clients and ignored their taxes and kind of hoard their money, thinking that something else is going to come up in the future. And as you understand, in order for economy to grow, you need to spend, you need to keep going. Otherwise, we're just going to be hit. I mean, COVID is not the only problem. I'm expecting stopping the spending could result in another recession like 2007.
Definitely, it's very, very dangerous as a matter of fact, and hopefully we see a turnaround with that in the near future. Well, just before we wrap up
Absolutely.
now, could you maybe shed some light for us on how the accountancy world is dealing with the accelerated digital transformation?
Absolutely. So, I mean, I just covered that point a little bit about the softwares. Now, what we are seeing in today's world is, I mean, and obviously COVID has changed that massively towards the favor of that software industry is that everything, if you really want, everything could be paperless, and it's extremely easy. A simple example is that you receive an invoice today, you can just take a picture of it, send it to a particular email which is connected to your software, and that invoice is just going to be automatically updated to that software. Now, the old school way of filing those invoices and waiting for the end of the month or 3 months to provide those invoices to their accountants is nullified. The reason being is that accountant could very well be working from home now, and they may not have anybody in the office for you to drop their files. So the entire point here is that if you are not, if you are following that industry of using these new software that has come that allow you to be connected to your bank, to be able to see your taxes, see all your invoices in a physical form on the software instead of going through your files. I mean, it's enormous. That's what the accountancy industry has done, and anybody who hasn't done it, I don't think they're going to be able to match up to the speed.
Absolutely, and there's obviously an efficiency factor there, I can imagine too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think it that way, that you're away, you're traveling, or you're working from home. You do not have to go to the office, open up a file to locate a particular invoice that you have to pay today. I mean, that was an old school way probably 2 years ago. It just cannot happen anymore.
Right, it's even hard to imagine that that happening. Everything is so automated and so fast now. It's obviously important, I think, that these accountancy firms keep up with the times, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. And any firms that are not doing it, they're struggling because they cannot receive the information from their clients.
Yeah, I don't doubt that whatsoever. Well, thanks for sharing that. It's been really great to hear your insights today. Thanks very much for joining us on Executive Corner Expert Talks.
No problem. Delighted to be here and happy to help.
Pleasure to have you on, Nasir. Now, thanks for your time as well, viewers. Stay tuned for more live updates only on Kalkine TV. This is Holly Shields signing off.